congratulations for your movie, A Black Rift here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, so how does it feel that it's being showcased at Slamdance?
Sweet.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Pretty magical.
The style of the festival and like their taste, we just always felt was such a good fit for our stuff. So we're super excited to be part of it this year.
Excellent. So let's talk the basics here. Where did the original idea came from for Black Rift?
I wanted to write a book that was sort of a fictional, something to do with this theoretical alien satellite called the Black Knight satellite, which Tesla sort of believed was like this 5,000-year-old extraterrestrial satellite that has been orbiting the Earth and receiving or sending radio signals. So I was really intrigued with this idea, and the ancient aliens stuff was kind of intriguing, but I was like, it'd be interesting to do something about that. I started writing it sort of as a book, but then as I was writing it, I realized that I kind of wanted to see it more than I wanted to read it. And the more I worked on it, the more it kind of became about the people that were researching it more than I was interested in the conspiracy theory itself. I was kind of interested in how something like that would affect people, whether it was real or whether they believed it was real. And that was more interesting to me. So I was like, this should be more of a movie. Also because it was very few locations and needed very few actors. So it just seemed something that we should pull off as a film if we were going to do it at all.
That is very fortunate, and you got Sarah and Sara to join along. So Sarah and Sara, why did you want to do this film?
Matt and I have been partnering on projects for several years now. We actually met making movies. We're married now, so we very much had that intertwined together. So that's sort of my experience. I'm sort of I come with the package, so.
And I stumbled into it by accident. Matt and Sarah had asked if I would participate in a film with them, and I was confused about what specifically they were asking for, and I thought maybe I would have a line in a film, and that'd be cool bragging rights. So I said, sure, why not? I've never done that before. And then Matt just kept updating me about the progress of the script and kept meeting up. And I just thought he was being very professional about the whole thing, keeping me in the know. And then he gave me a copy of the first script, and it wasn't until I read it that I realized that I was one of the lead characters, and I had already agreed to it. So I was just gonna buckle up and try my hardest.
Yeah, I actually wrote the two characters specifically for these two. I had asked her if she's interested, and when she said yes, I was like, okay, so now I can write this for both Sarah's, and that's also sort of like where the duality aspect came in. Both are redhead, both are really named Sarah, so that's why in the script one of them is named Laura and the other is named Lara. And so I kind of played off of the fact that they were already sort of friends anyway, as I kind of tried to just build it off of that, because I was like, this will be something that's in all of our wheelhouse, because we're kind of playing off of the chemistry that's already there, but just giving kind of a sinister vibe.
There's a little bit of a nod to real life too. Sarah and I actually met because we worked together for a few years, and we had regulars who would come in and out that thought we were the other person, but it wasn't until you're partway through the conversation that you realize, oh, you think I'm the other redheaded Sarah. So it's pretty easy to play that in a film since we've experienced it.
So how do you avoid the confusion of characters on the film? Because since Laura, the intertwining changes, that kind of stuff.
I think we wanted it to feel confused a bit. We wanted there to be this, we were pretty careful about even to how they're framed. You never see them touch each other. You never see them. There's very few times, there's only a couple key moments where they actually cross each other in the frame. And all of that stuff is very particular. It was put in there the way it was for a reason. But we wanted there to be this this idea that if these two were actually isolated together for a long time, that the more similarities you see, the more you start to wonder what your reality is. There's like stories about twins that were confused about events that happened to each other. Like they think that it happened to them when it happened to the other person. And there's all those sorts of things that happen in those sort of intimate dualities, I guess. And the fun, I think, for us doing the movie was we constantly were going back and forth of like, eventually the question came up from somebody of, are they the same person? And I was like, well, I don't want to do that cliche thing where it's like, oh, they're the same person. But we flirted with that in how we did certain things in the movie without it being like they're the same person or anything like that. And that's not what it's about anyway. It's just one of those sort of psychosis things that we were kind of interested in doing, because you can do that in movies over a short span of time.
Sarah and Sarah. Trying to get used to calling everyone Sarah. Sarah and Sarah, so how did you get into the headspace of your characters? Because there was a lot of sort of like deep staring off in the distance and reading you know, someone's journal, that kind of stuff. How do you get into that headspace of you know, trying to avoid your own confusion?
I didn't feel like it was that hard for me. You know, prior to a scene, Matt would kind of just go over the overall feeling of the characters, you know, why there's angst between them, why maybe how confused they are, and then just try to portray the character that he had described before the scene. For me, the hardest part was kind of scowling and glaring at a friend of mine for so long, you know, and just like really feeling like I did not care for her. And then as soon as the scene was over, be like, that was great, good job. It was sort of strange and surreal. I enjoyed every second of it. So
it was quite a bit easier for me because I was involved from pre-production. Matt and I worked together on a lot of the aesthetics. I sort of designed the set. So we had spent all this time sort of putting this world together. So when we got into the space with our beautiful lighting and our fantastic camera framing, I kind of felt like we all just fell into that atmosphere. And some of the moves were planned and some weren't. There were a lot of moments that almost were surprising, just that came together organically. We ended up shooting stuff we didn't think we were going to get. So it was really cool. And it was sort of this ever-changing piece that we were making.
Hey, Matt, talk about the colorization and the picture-in-picture that you actually used for you know, your cinematography.
Yeah, so the director of photography, Lila Stryker, this is her first feature. This is her first movie that she's ever shot. She's a photographer, and a really great one. And I really liked her aesthetic of her photography. And so I brought her on board. And we went through a lot of talking about the particular colors, like the angle of light that we wanted for certain things. So we mapped the whole shoot out between bars and coffee shops in downtown Boise. She and I, and also my gaffer, Chaz Gentry, who did all the lighting. I mean, that's his jam. The three of us spent a long time going through every single shot that we wanted. How we wanted it framed. We had like floor plans of the cabin and the hotel. And even then we were like, this is kind of the color scheme that we want for this. This is the color scheme we want for this. These are the colors of props that we're going to want in the background. These are the types of things we're going to want to see. A mirror here. So just kind of doing those sorts of things. And then it gave me the flexibility to know how much I could push certain color aspects in post, because I did all the color grading too. And that was fun because it also allowed me to really like, oh, I wanted this guy to be blue here, but now I'm going to make it like neon blue because I can push it as far as I need to. And the experimenting that kind of we're talking about on set with like the characters and all of that stuff, it definitely translated over into post in terms of how I did a color pass, then I pushed it a little further, then I pushed it a little further, and I started getting really weird with it. And then I went a little too far, and then I was like, okay, so pull back, and the weird with it, that's where it worked out. So there's a lot of experimenting, but based off of that, we were so meticulous in how we planned it that we had the time to sort of experiment on set even.
Now, there was speaking of experimenting, there was a interpretive dance that Sara and Sara both did. Did you ladies basically winged it, or you try to choreograph that with your magnetic cassette tapes? I didn't even know people still had cassette tapes, but that's all right.
Yeah.
We did have to purchase those, but we kind of knew what was coming, and we planned to shoot that scene the last night we were in the cabin. So we had several days under our belt of a lot of work, very long days, very little sleep, getting a little bit delusional. So we had a couple glasses of wine and we played with the lighting, and we just got weird. We shot quite a bit of footage, but it was very natural to where our brains were already at least for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're just that good at dancing. It just looked like we practiced many times.
Well, one more thing. When I was watching the movie, I thought the most I wasn't sure if it was a difficult scene to shoot, but basically you're on that prairie and you're reading out of the journal. But I believe the wind was really picking up for you guys. What was the wind part of the plan, or was that just that was completely unexpected, and you guys just had to go plow through it?
We kind of knew it was going to be windy. We had shot out there and location scouted out there a couple times, and that canyon is just windy most of the time. So we knew that going in, but we had planned for the wind, for the sound. Like, so Jacob Kinch, our sound guy, we went there thinking, like, let's try to shoot this in a blizzard because we have to get the audio as clean as we can, because the shot was going to just be one continuous shot. I didn't want to cut and do inserts. So it was going to be very hard to do ADR for it later. And we just didn't want to deal with that. So I was like, if there's any scene that you need to get the audio clean in, it's this one. And he rigged something up, and he was actually underneath them. When you see the shot, he's underneath them while I kind of crouched down under the rocks. So as the wind would sort of change direction, he would sort of change where he was behind the rocks to sort of use that to block the wind. But then he had all these, baffles and stuff on it. So it was a little windy, but he actually did a pretty amazing job cleaning the wind out of it, because that's all the original audio from the shoot. And there's a little bit of wind that kind of came in and out, but we added a lot of our own wind effect in post. So I think the wind that was in there, I actually didn't mind it. I thought it kind of added this sort of naturalness to it. So yeah, we knew it was going to be windy, and we knew it was going to be a pain in the neck, and it kind of was.
We also had this really cool unplanned moment though, where the book is dropped into the dirt and the pages are blowing in the wind, and we're all behind the camera watching, like, oh, blow the book shut, and just as perfect timing.
Spoiler alert.
Well, that's excellent. Well, that's the magic of movie making. So once again, hey, congratulations for Black Rift here, and congratulations for being showcased on Slamdance. And thank you for speaking with me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye now.